Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rebel Roundtable. Happy Friday. I am your host, Rebel Esquire, Jen Lee, and I am fortunate enough to be joined today by Kathryn Holland. And Kathryn is a CDFA, which means a certified divorced financial analyst, which sounds like so much fun to this nerdy bankruptcy brain of mine. Having someone to talk about finances and divorce sounds like a dream come true. Probably not for most people, though. So thank you, Kathryn, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to talk to you.
It's so much fun to talk about these things. So give us a little bit of background. I don't like to do like these gigantic introductions, but tell us a little bit about being a CDFA and what you do.
So I help people figure out what they have and
Okay.
how to split it up when
Okay.
they're getting a divorce.
Okay.
And that first step is underrated as a service, I think.
Well,
Um,
I agree with you. People don't realize what they have, and that's half the
yeah.
problem. So,
Well, so on a case recently, I found a rollover in a tax return, and the client, literally the husband, had forgotten about, you know, $500,000. So it's like,
oops.
oh, so I actually helped both of them because they had no idea it was even there anymore.
Yeah, like, oops, that's where I left that. Totally forgot
Yeah,
about it.
I left my 500,000s in my other pocket. Sorry.
Oops. So, for lawyers, and lawyers say they handle the financials in a divorce case. What does that look like from your side when you step in to help them handle finances or financials in a divorce case?
You know, lawyers have different takes on it.
Uh-huh.
Some lawyers just want me to be like, this is the tax equivalent split of this and that, and some lawyers kind of let me go
Okay.
a little more wild with things and help figure out creative solutions because we're doing mediation and whatnot. But I find that the a lot of lawyers are kind of relieved
Mm-hmm.
to let me, do what I do because I love it. I'm such a nerd about numbers, and then I'm the one who's following up on getting all of those statements because everybody knows that's the worst part of it, right? And it's like,
Well, that sounds like a
no,
dream come true to follow up on those things. I don't want to do that.
yeah, yeah. Like, yes, I'd love to offload that task to you, and I know what to look for and how to look at it. I tax returns tell stories
Yeah.
for me. And so,
So if attorneys never worked with the CDFA, when do you come in on a case? When are you usually engaged?
uh, so sometimes the client engages me first
Okay.
because they'd like to see what it could look like.
Mhm.
Maybe they're worried that the spouse is going to kind of lose their shit a little bit and they want to be prepared with, let's just get this through. Sometimes I get brought in by the attorney, and when the attorney brings me in, that actually preserves attorney-client privilege, which is
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
But they'll bring me in. Sometimes they bring me in if it's a complicated asset, especially here in Silicon Valley, the executive comp can get really,
Yeah. Little
you need
hairy.
to be really nitpicky about it.
Mhm.
Sometimes I just do limited scope. I do that. And sometimes attorneys will bring me in to do some of that hand holding
Okay.
because a lot of the anxiety that
Hmm.
keeps people from making those choices is just because they don't understand what it is and they're afraid of making the wrong decision.
And
So I can
lawyers aren't
really,
the best at explaining those numbers sometimes, apparently.
you know, I love lawyers. They're some of my favorite people to hang out with, but sometimes they're just so busy.
Yeah.
Put it that
We'll
way.
leave it at that. They're just so busy.
Yeah.
um, for attorneys that have never worked with CDF, what do you take off their plate? Like, what does your role? I know you said collecting documents, but is there like a bigger piece of that, of the whole financial analysis?
Yeah.
Okay.
If the attorney is open to it, I actually love to prepare the disclosures
Okay.
for them.
Okay.
Um, some attorneys say, no, that's lawyer work. And so that's fine if that's how they feel about it. But I really, because then I can get all the nitpicky information I need in
Mhm.
there to make good choices. So, I make sure to put in California, I make sure to put in the base value transfer.
Okay.
So because that's important
Mhm.
when you're looking at stuff or cost basis or all of that nitty-gritty stuff. So it's not just a let's get this done and get it out because the preliminary, it's let's get this done so it's really a functional document in the
Mhm.
course of whether it's litigation or mediation or any other ADR, it's like
Yeah.
it's more useful.
Yeah. Well, and it may be lawyer work, but they're supervising it anyway because they're filing with the court. So having you prepare it is the same as having any non-attorney prepare something. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to have that argument with a lawyer though that doesn't want me to do
I like
it.
arguing with them. It's
They,
fine.
they will win.
Because my argument with them all the time is they're doing things that they would be better off having someone else do. And either it's because it drives them crazy because they're not accountants, or it's tasks that could be better outsourced to some of their support staff. They shouldn't be doing it. So they tell me they're all
Also,
burnt out. You're doing all this
I'm a
extra work,
lot faster. I'm quick.
doing so much
Get it
stuff.
turned around in 3 days for you.
Do you ever run into the problem where people think you cost too much, or you not cost too much necessarily, but like they don't know that they can bring another professional in?
I mean, I think cost should be a concern for everybody. It's not our responsibility to manage our clients'
Yep.
costs, but to be good stewards of their money.
Mhm.
But I think I would say you should look at the cost of not bringing in an
Yep.
expert.
I can see that too, because the ROI on having something streamlined and actually effective is probably a lot
Mhm.
higher than the amount that the professional gets paid.
Yeah.
Do you contract directly with attorneys? I know that some of the attorneys bring you in. Do you come in as a contractor with the attorney engagement, or is it with the client?
Usually I do a client engagement letter
Okay.
and I work on retainer
Yep.
hourly. Yeah.
Um, and those funny questions that come up, you never really think about, like who actually retains a CDFA? Who's the one in charge of all this kind of thing? Um,
Yeah.
and have you ever stepped into a really messy case where they could have used you a lot earlier in the case and it cost them
Yes.
a lot more in the long run? So do you have any horror stories without naming names, of course?
Oh, I have, yeah. Of
Crazy
course,
things.
now I'm drawing a blank. Like,
I just think when you talk about Silicon Valley and like the compensation, I just think that people get to the very end and they're like, oh, wait, I didn't realize this is what happens with this type of compensation, or what this deal
I
actually
have
is going to
actually,
do.
yes. So my horror
Mhm.
story then
Yeah.
is I had somebody who was receiving executive comp in a tech position and had decided that one of the DIY online divorce services was the way to go.
Just go, wait, executive comp from a tech company, and they just had online DIY forms. Okay. Okay.
Yep. Yep. And so and this it was yeah, they had all different RSUs and some of it was premarital all the way and some of it was even premarital grant and postmarital vest. So like everything needed to be dissected and pulled out and applied all the right calculations. I had a lot of fun creating the spreadsheet for that one. So I'm hoping I get another case like that so I can use my spreadsheet again. But
See, just
yeah.
program these fancy spreadsheets. I know I love numbers too, and not all lawyers get that. The joke in law school was if I liked numbers, I would have, or if I liked math, I would have gone to medical school. Oh,
Have you read Is Math Real by Eugenia Clark?
I have not, but it sounds like something that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Math real.
It's
Okay.
she's a mathematician out of I think Yale and
Okay.
she writes about how once you get beyond the boring stuff that they make you learn in school, math has an art and
Yeah.
a creativity to it.
It really does. There's a lot of, I saw that in bankruptcy work too. There was a lot of gray area, like things you can do with numbers, and a lot of like how you position the numbers. And we see it in the news and the media with stats. Like you can say 90% of this, but then you go look at what they're taking 90% of. Like, oh, that's a very sensationalist headline for something that's not very sensationalist. Not to
Yeah.
get political, but yes, that's what it looks
I
like.
have I have a book called How to Lie with Statistics, and for a while I had it on my bookshelf, and then I realized that it probably wasn't good to have on my bookshelf where people could see.
Not a good marketing technique to use.
No.
I mean, you can make statistics say whatever you want. And so it's,
Yeah.
again, numbers aren't, they're fun and they're not always black and white. So
Yeah.
Um, you talk a lot about like clients not understanding their finances. And I saw that even with sophisticated clients, they didn't always understand what their financials were. How does what you do help them be more confident in their decision making? What can you lay out for them?
So I go in with the guiding light of Einstein's quote, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it.
Yeah.
And so all of all of what I do can be distilled into understandable pieces, whether it's using, allegory or using numbers to create pictures or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I tell people if you don't understand what I'm saying, it's because I haven't figured out how to explain it to you.
Mm-hmm. I think
And
that's
a
really
lot
cool.
of people, yeah, a lot of people don't have somebody who has that patience
Mm-hmm.
to be like, how do you need to hear it instead of how do I need to say it?
And I think a lot of lawyers struggle with that too. We hear about bedside manner for doctors and for lawyers, and they're so stuck in their legal terminology sometimes that they can't pull themselves
But
out of.
they feel like they need to be.
Yeah. I mean, there's the legal side of it where you're having to think like how the court is going to look at something, but then there's the client side where you have to completely change how you explain something to someone who didn't go to law school and hasn't been practicing forever. So,
Yeah.
do you see fewer disputes when financials are handled through a CDFA? Are there fewer arguments about things?
Hey, I can be a lawyer here. It
It
depends.
depends. It's a really good answer. There's so many things.
I know. If people are going to fight if they need to fight,
Yeah.
and they're going to get along if they need to get along. I think that if they haven't decided which way they're going to go, having a CDFA can help.
Mm-hmm.
But if they've made up their minds that it's going to be contentious, I can at least make sure that um, people are taking care of themselves.
Right.
I will say that if I've been hired as a neutral and they've decided to be contentious, you're wasting your money on me.
Yeah. That was gonna be my next question is most of the time, is it a collaborative process that you're brought into, or do you sometimes end up taking like a side where you're an expert for one side or the other?
Yeah, I do both.
Yeah.
I'm trained in both mediation and the collaborative process, so I
Mhm.
do neutral work, but I kind of like being an advocate
Yeah.
because then I get to play detective a little bit more.
It's so fun the things you can find in
Yeah.
finances and bank statements and like you said, tax returns tell all kinds of stories that people don't realize that
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
detective work is fun. Mhm. How did
We even
you yeah,
we even found so when you pay your taxes,
mm-hmm.
whoever has their social security number first, that's the tax account. So whether you're getting a refund or you owe taxes, it applies to that first social security number. And so we found somebody who had been for the past few years. You can also click a box that says, please, any refund apply to future
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And we found several hundred thousand sitting in the account at the IRS because it doesn't show up how much it is
Right.
on the tax return. You have to call and ask for the tax transcript
Yep. Interesting.
to find it.
Yeah, I've had that in bankruptcy cases where we're dealing with tax issues where the IRS doesn't know which social, like they file taxes a couple years under one social, and then lead social is another one a couple years, and so it kind of creates a mess. So that makes sense to pay attention to that. Um,
Well, and some people don't notice that they're doing opposite on their like if they have a joint account at the bank, they
mhm.
don't always order the socials as the primary in accordance with the taxes,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
can make it, yeah.
I always was found it interesting, like the things you could discover about businesses, like when you have pass through income that comes through and people don't disclose trusts or something like that, and all of a sudden you get a tax return, you're like, there's an awful lot of income here that isn't really anywhere else. So where's
What's
the
been your favorite thing to find?
I think it's usually when someone tells me they have no assets, they have nothing, and then I get the tax return and I see like real estate investment income or something like that. Like it's right there. And that's why bankruptcy trustees ask for tax returns, is because they're just a gold mine of information. And
Yeah.
sometimes there are no assets left. It was, liquidated and it's gone. But a lot of times there are, especially with like crypto these days. That's the craziest area. Are you finding anything with crypto and what people are doing with that on the CDFA
Well,
side?
so the platforms have started reporting,
Mm-hmm.
but if they have it in cold storage,
Mm-hmm.
like you just have to get lucky and find a transfer out.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why criminals like to use it.
One of my episodes last year was with someone who does those trade. It was a private investigator type financial investigator who does those
Oh,
traces out and found the episode was all about this video game where like money went in and it was really interesting. I may have to go revisit that one because it was again
oh,
totally fascinating discussion of where this money actually went to.
yeah.
Um,
And just finding it, like
and
tracking it down.
and it was one of those lucky things where you saw a transfer out somewhere and you're like, but where did it go? And it's again, it's a little bit of luck sometimes figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Undisclosed bank accounts too. I saw those quite a bit where there would be like a transfer out to another bank account. And I'm like, you didn't disclose this bank account. Where did this go? Oh, I didn't know you had to see all my bank accounts. I'm like, Andy, yeah, that's how this works.
No, it's okay. Bankruptcy court is fine with, approximations, I'm
Right?
sure.
You don't have to disclose everything. You're just signing under penalty of perjury that you've disclosed everything. So it's all good. What pushbacks do you get from attorneys about bringing in a CDFA?
Well, there's the argument that that I'm skating close to practicing law
Mhm.
without a legal degree. And I try to keep that in mind,
Yeah, yeah,
because, you might hear something that an attorney says and you think, oh, that could help in this case, but you can't tell that person
right.
because you're not an attorney.
Mhm.
But I think there is a danger of that so you want somebody who's respectful of that line.
Yeah,
But I mean, I'm not cheap
yeah.
either. And I understand that. And so
But that's
I,
also, I mean, your biggest benefit is in these complicated cases with assets. You're not being brought in for someone who's got hundreds of $1,000s of debt and nothing to do with it, no assets
yeah,
to go with it. So kind
yeah,
of the ROI on it. Do you have
true.
attorneys that think they can just do it themselves and they make a mess out of
Yep,
things? Yeah.
yep, I do. I um I think the biggest one that people are surprised by is how different a 401k is from an IRA.
Yep.
Because to the end user, they're functionally the same.
Mhm.
But one is overseen by the Department of Labor and one is overseen by the IRS. And those guys operate very differently
There's
and have
really
very
different
different
rules for
rules.
those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And quadros are really interesting to me also.
Do you help with financials on quadros and things like that when you?
I facilitate quadros, but I don't write my own. Um,
It's a pretty high
but
specialty these days. I see a lot of attorneys or firms that just do quadros, like if that's their
yeah,
areas quadros. So,
well, because every 401ks are like fingerprints. Like every one is slightly different. And some, quadro places just throw the spaghetti against the wall and hope it sticks. And some places, they keep all of the old ones they wrote so they know what rules are with which. But if they get a new employer, you got to go figure out all the different intricacies to it.
yeah, I think people like underestimate all the rules involved with some of these. Again, executive comp, RSUs, 401ks, deferred comp. I've seen all kinds of crazy things and all
Holding
the rules.
companies, hedge
Yes.
funds,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're all a little bit different and
private placement.
really easy to mess up.
Oh yeah.
So if a lawyer was going to bring you in, what should they have ready before looping you in? Like, what's their prep look like to bring you in?
Um, it depends.
Love it.
Some of them, they just say, hey, this person needs you. I sent them your information, so if they call, don't be
Okay.
surprised
Okay.
because they're trying to,
Yeah.
maintain privacy. And
Mhm.
some of them are
Right.
like, hey, this is what's going on. Can you help?
Yeah. So as an attorney, I totally get that. I don't usually give out names if I'm just sending. a quick, hey, a person might call you from me, I did usually try to get the client's permission and say, hey, I would like to introduce you to this professional. Would that be okay, and get their permission to do it? Do you have a preference either way? Is it easier if the attorney like loops you in with the client from the beginning and you are more endorsed almost by the attorney?
That is my preference because then it puts the ball in my court.
Yep.
I mean, people are so overwhelmed during divorce. You've got to be making business decisions while you're like everything you're doing is like stuck in that lizard brain of emotion. So
Yep.
like this high functioning thought you're expected to perform, even if it's just, hey, call this person who can help you, can feel overwhelming.
Definitely. And I find that understanding that emotional overwhelm part of it, attorneys don't always like, here's your checklist. Go through your checklist. I'm like, yeah, my brain shut down like 2 sentences ago, and there's no way I'm going to be able to follow this checklist and call 3 CDFAs and interview them. So lawyers need to understand that. Even when someone's high net worth or high functioning executives, we still get in that same like pattern, emotional
Yeah,
stuck.
we're all just human.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what's if someone were watching this as a divorce lawyer, is there one thing that they should do when they're thinking about like hiring or not getting a CDFA involved? Is there any like triggers? Is there anything that they're like, oh, I should definitely reach out to Kathryn?
I would say if you're thinking of chat GPTing it, just call me.
That's probably a good tip for almost any lawyer watching this. But yes. ChatGPT will just tell you you're right and then go on
I
its merry
know.
way about how right you're wrong, kind of thing. Yes. um,
Yeah.
if they want to reach out to you, how do they find you? What's your website, or how do they connect with you?
You can find, so my firm, so we're a CDFA firm,
Yep.
and our website is coveryourassetsdivorce.com.
Cool.
Um, we thought about naming it something a little more with more gravitas, but then we decided if that name offends you, you probably wouldn't want to work with us
Right.
anyway.
I may not be the right
Um,
client for you if that offends me. Yeah.
yeah, but it's Kathryn, Kathryn, at coveryourassetsdivorce.com.
Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
I hope that lots of divorce lawyers consider reaching out to you, because I just think it adds so much clarity to the process and so much takes work off their plate that they should be doing anyway, may not be qualified to do, and they probably hate doing. So,
Yeah. We also have a podcast if you want to send clients to listen to it.
okay, what's your podcast
Uh,
called?
Cover your assets.
That sounds good.
Branding, baby. Yeah.
Almost like there's a
Um,
trademark involved here.
yeah. But yeah. So even if they don't want a CDFA, if they want their clients to understand some of this stuff, it's a very conversational. It's all of us.
Cool.
We've all been divorced, so it's a lot of personal experience and
That's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting, lived experience coming into what you're all doing. You've been there, done that.
yeah.
Now you have the podcast. So
That needs to be a t-shirt.
been there, done this.
Been there, done that, have the podcast.
Maybe we'll have to trademark that one next.
I think so.
To wrap this up, because I tend to want to go on all day if I get nerdy with numbers, and now I have books to go look up that you mentioned and all kinds of fun stuff. But on the Rebel Roundtable, we do have our Spotify playlist of Rebel anthems. Do you have a particular song you like to go to when you channel your inner rebel?
I really like Queen's Don't Stop Me Now.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we will get that added to the Spotify playlist. It's attached to the Rebel Esquire YouTube channel, and I'll get it sent out. It's got a pretty growing list these days. I think I've had about 50 guests so far. So it's a
Wow, that's
pretty
amazing.
significant playlist. So go check it out. For everybody else, I will see you next Friday on the Rebel Roundtable. And thank you so much for being here, Kathryn. So much fun nerding out